Hello everybody, welcome to this new series of videos where in each video I'm going to demonstrate to you a ritual that we perform here on the Aran Islands in order to give meaning and purpose to our lives. So different rituals for different intentions maybe. Behind me here is a tree, and if you look closely at the tree you can see that there are all types of ribbons tied on it. This is a hawthorn tree, and it's marking the location of a holy well, the well of St. Kieran, here in Monaster on Inishmore on the Aran Islands in Galway, off the west coast of Ireland. And this tradition of tying ribbons to a tree in Ireland goes way back. So if we start by just talking about the tree itself and the significance of it in the spiritual world, perhaps you know already that trees were very important in the Celtic tradition, and Celtic people with a deep spirituality found meaning for their lives in the spiritual connection they felt with their environment, and they would often personify that connection into a deity, a personality of a god or a goddess. So the sea had gods associated with it, the sun had gods associated with it, the earth had goddess energy associated with it, and trees were sort of in between the sky and the earth, so they were particularly important for touching into a particular divine energy, maybe of a particular deity. And each species of tree in the Celtic world would carry a different meaning for those people. So the hawthorn tree in particular was used for marking a sacred place. So in some cases it would be used to mark the burial place of one of their children. So that would be a sad thing, sad use for it. But if you can imagine, in those days, people having children, they gave birth at their home, and occasionally I suppose a child died or was dead on birth, and the child's body had to be buried. So you'd carry the body away from the house a little bit, dig a hole and put the body in. But then you needed to protect that space because it was a sort of a sacred space, and you didn't want people walking over it, and you didn't want dogs digging it up or other animals digging it up, so you wanted to protect it. And so you marked it with the branch of a hawthorn tree, and generally speaking that hawthorn tree would root fairly quickly and grow into a tree, and then from then on would mark that sacred space. And we have had tradition in Ireland of hawthorn trees being left in fields that were otherwise cleared by farmers for their crops, but they wouldn't cut down the hawthorn tree that they felt had been marking a sacred place, perhaps out of superstition or perhaps just out of respect. We have a very good example of that in modern Ireland here, where the government wanted to put in a highway, a dual carriageway as we call it, from Galway to Shannon Airport and onto Limerick. And the route that was being planned for it would require the removal of a hawthorn tree that was regarded as sacred by local people on their way south from Galway to Limerick. And the local people kicked up such a fuss that the government eventually decided to run the highway around the tree rather than knock it down or cut it down. So if you were to take a drone image of that road, you will see where there's a little curve on it to go around the tree rather than knock it down. So that's how important, if you like, the tradition still is here in Ireland. Now this particular tree behind me is not marking the grave of anybody dead so far as we know, but it is marking the location of the holy well, and which is right beside it. I'm not going to cover anything about the holy well in this video. I will do that perhaps in the next one or later on, because that's a separate ritual that we can talk about. So we'll do one location at a time. So the hawthorn tree is the one today. And so because this hawthorn tree marks the location of a sacred place, a holy well, and people who come here to pray at the well often will carry an intention in their heart. And as an expression of that intention, they will tie a ribbon to the tree. In many cases, I do weddings here, and if that's the case, then the couple, to begin their ceremony, will tie a ribbon to the tree, in the same way that maybe if they were in a church or an indoor building, they might light a candle for a similar reason. So it's that idea. But you can come to this tree or a tree that's sacred to you wherever you live, and you can start tying ribbons to it as a way of expressing your intention, whatever it is. It might be a positive thing like getting married, or it might be a prayer for somebody who's sick, or it might be something for yourself. It doesn't really matter. The tree will carry the intention for you. So I'm now going to take this ribbon and tie it to the tree with the intention for me of making a success of all these videos, and hoping that they will be useful and helpful to those of you who watch them from here on in. I think I'll have plenty of videos for you, and this is just the first one.